Thank you. So today I want to show you our cross-platform framework for building native smartphone apps for all devices. It's called Roads. It's open source. We actually just announced today that it was going to be fully free with the Web 2.0 conference. So some background, as you well know, smartphone apps are exploding. There's many different smartphone operating systems: iPhone, BlackBerry, Windows Mobile, Symbian, and even more are coming. Just a few years ago, people said, well, I'm going to wait for it to converge down to one or two before I write apps. Well, that's clearly going the other direction. And so that, combined with the fact that people want to use native apps on their smartphones, thanks to the success of the App Store, means that you as developers need some way of handling that diversity. So this is why we created Roads. So we let you write your app once using your familiar web development skills. So even though you're writing in web, it is building a native smartphone application. So you're writing your interfaces in HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It's building a native application for the first 5 OSs that you see there: iPhone, BlackBerry, Windows Mobile, Symbian, and Android. We are working on WebOS, MeeGo, and then also Windows Phone 7, which will actually be a separate implementation from the existing Windows Mobile. So, as we said, the skills that you'll use will be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to write the views for your apps. And then you will do the controllers in Ruby. We let you write everything as views. If you wished, you could write all just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But those of you doing web development out there, it's likely that you're using some kind of MVC framework, either Python Django or Java Struts or Ruby on Rails. And whatever MVC framework you're using, we want you to take that modern web development goodness, but take it down to smartphones. Typically, mobility has been a bit of a backwater using older techniques. We also want to let you use synchronized offline data and use all the interesting capabilities of the device: GPS, PIM data, camera, push SMS, and mapping. So the architecture is, as you can see, all you're writing is the controller and the HTML templates, the things that are in gold. And but that is generated for you. A first cut is generated for you by this app generator. It's very similar to scaffolding that you may have used in your web frameworks. And then that, combined with the components that we provide, an ORM, a device capabilities library, and an optional synchronization client, will build your app. So let's go ahead and do a demo now of how you would go and write this app. We have a hosted service that lets you write the app from a description of the object and their attributes. For example, this is something that's a product catalog, and you have some attributes like the brand, the name, the price, and the quantity. You can see that the development experience is just very generic HTML, and then the way that we make it look native is we use your familiar CSS skills. So we have these CSS libraries for each different device. So CSS for BlackBerry, CSS for iPhone, etc. And what that does is then styles your app to look native. So here's the app running on the iPhone emulator. And I can go ahead and create a new product. I can say, okay, it's an iPhone. The brand is Apple. And the name is an iPhone 3GS. And all this code, the UI and the code to do the actual local editing of data to a database is all generated for us, and then you can edit as you see fit. So that's that running on the iPhone, and here's the same app running on Android. And it's all from one set of source code looking native on each device. Now let's suppose that I want to make a change, because that's what was generated for us from the attributes. But let's say that I say, okay, well, I don't want the brand to be done as something I edit. I want to be able to just do a drop down. So I can say select the name of the brand, and then I'll say Apple. And I don't have to learn the way that I would do, I don't have to learn the syntax of each of the underlying OSs. I just use my familiar HTML skills, and then I do a save. And then all I do is say that I want to reload the app. It sucks all the code down from the server, generates a local Xcode project with Objective-C to be completely compliant with all terms of service. This is a native Xcode project like any other. And then within here, I can now have this drop-down list that is created as the result of that change. All right. Great. Thank you.